A new report reveals the deep link between the terrorist organizations Hamas and the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and the BDS, Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Organizations against Israel. This report, based on extensive research conducted by the Ministry of Strategic Affairs of Israel, highlights a direct connection between convicted terrorists with blood on their hands and so-called peaceful civil society organizations. Since the early 1990s, the Palestinian terrorist organizations Hamas and the PFLP have infiltrated terror activists into a network of non-profit organizations to promote boycotts of Israel, viewing the civil struggle against Israel as a complementary effort to the armed struggle, whose primary goal is to eliminate the Jewish state.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
فلسطين كل فلسطين من البحر إلى النهر.
In doing so, the terrorist organizations turned non-profit organizations in the Palestinian Authority, Europe, and North America into a hotbed for their activists and activities. So how does this method work? Well, convicted terrorists, including murderers of innocent Israeli civilians who have served sentences in Israeli prisons, currently hold senior positions in boycott organizations. These activists have not abandoned their radical agenda and continue to maintain organizational, financial, and operative ties with terrorist groups. In essence, members of Hamas and the PFLP terrorist organizations have whitewashed their terrorist past and now hold key positions within the BDS movement. Let's take Layla Khaled, for example. Layla Khaled, senior activist of the terrorist organization PFLP for 50 years, hijacked a TWA plane in 1969 and killed 5 innocent civilians, including an 8-month-old baby. Currently, alongside her continued terrorist activity, Khaled is a strong promoter of BDS and raises funds for BDS organizations. Khaled was in contact with the terror activist Mustafa Awad, who is currently detained in Israel for his involvement in a number of terrorist organizations, including Hezbollah and the PFLP. All this while working for the Samidan organization as the coordinator of the group's activities in Europe. This organization promotes boycotts against the State of Israel and works to release Palestinian prisoners, including convicted murderers of innocent Israelis. Mohammed Sawalha and Zaher Birawi are activists in the notorious terrorist organization Hamas. In addition to Sawalha's being a military activist, he was a member of the organization's political bureau and is identified with the Muslim Brotherhood. Over the last 20 years, the two have been residing in the United Kingdom and have established a series of civil society networks in order to whitewash their terrorist connections. Birawi currently serves as chairman of the committee to support a boycott against Israel. These examples, and many others presented in the report, show how terrorists transform into human rights activists in order to gain access to funds from government bodies and international institutions such as the EU, and on the way, gain unquestionable public legitimacy. The government of Israel's report peels away the civilian veneer from BDS organizations and unmasks some of the real actors behind the movement. In the coming days, the Ministry of Strategic Affairs will launch a diplomatic campaign to stop European funding of these organizations due to their terror connections, and once and for all, expose the real players behind the BDS movement today.